Hi guys, so welcome to Basic Blogging and Social Media. My name is Paula and I will be sharing with you a few best practices that I use when blogging for my clients. Before you begin, most VAs think that when their clients ask them to start blogging, they want to jump straight into the content or start thinking about what to call their blog, titles and stuff like that. But I find it best to begin with goal setting, because inevitably if you are going to be blogging every day, you're going to run out of ideas, and it just makes things easier if you have a goal and you know what direction you're supposed to go in. Okay, so first you need to know your purpose for blogging or for posting on social media. So the common reasons are blogging for lead generation. So we want to capture leads. This is what we do is we get people who visit our clients' websites. Okay, and then we capture those leads so that we can then follow up with them and see and offer our services. So if you're blogging for lead generation, I would advise that you use a lot of links on your blogs that link back to your client's website. Use teasers and leave your readers wanting more. Okay, so these are the kind of blogs that have open-ended endings, so they don't really finish with a solid conclusion, so that the readers who are reading your blogs will be enticed to click on your client's website and find out more information. Next, are you blogging for SEO? SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And the goal for that is to make sure that your client's website ranks in the first page of search engines such as Google. For this, you need to use a lot of keywords and phrases. So we'll talk about that a little bit more because it's a little technical. We won't go into a very deep detail, but I will share with you an overview. Lastly, do you blog to increase engagement? Increasing engagement is strengthening relationships that your client has with their existing clients or with potential clients. So if you're blogging or posting on social media for this, I would advise you to use a lot of humor and attractive graphics. Ask thoughtful questions and post interesting content that encourages discussion. The next step is to know your client's voice. If you already enjoy a close relationship with your client, then this should come easily to you. But if you don't, I would encourage you, get to know your client better. Why? Because when you blog, you are blogging using their voice. You're not going to put your name as the author of the blogs that you write. You're going to be writing on behalf of your client. So it's important for you to get to know their style and their personality so that you can make it come across on paper. Now, what you write is a reflection on your client, so get to know them so that you can capture their style and personality when you write. Is your client funny? Is she conservative or sweet? Are they serious and all business, or are they edgy? Okay, also it's important to get to know their culture, because, for example, you don't want to be writing about Christmas events if your client is Jewish. The last part of goal setting is to know your audience. Who are you writing for? If it's other realtors who will be reading your blogs, they're usually the hardest to impress. Why? Because they know everything that you know, and they know all the tips and tricks. They're all doing it on a daily basis. So again, you're going to have to work extra hard to impress them. I would advise that you share best practices, information on new technology and trends, and a lot of humor. If you are writing for buyers and sellers, they are looking for results because they want to know if your client is the agent that they want to hire to do their buying and selling for them. So for them, I would share market updates, success stories, and testimonials, the good ones. They want to hear about how your client was able to close a deal within 30 days, or how they were able to sell a house and get 90% of the asking price. These are good sharing stories to share with buyers and sellers. Now, the last kind of audience are friends. Obviously, these are the most supportive kind of audience. Even in everyday life, everybody has a Facebook account, and usually the first people to like your status updates are those whom you are close friends with. So, friends translates as your client's past clients whom they have already built a solid relationship with, or other realtors whom they enjoy a close relationship with, and so on and so forth. So for them, share success stories invite them to upcoming events, and ask engaging questions because they will be the ones who are more open to discussing them with you. Now that you've set your goals, you know your client's voice, you know who your audience is, and you know what your reason is for blogging, let's get on to the nitty-gritty. So for blogging, the top 3 blogging platforms would be WordPress, Blogger, and ActiveRain. Now all of these have their own pros and cons. It's hard to say which one is the best because, again, they all have their own good points and bad points. For WordPress, the pros are that it's highly customizable, and they come with a lot of plugins and widgets that you can use that are so useful when you want to capture leads. The downside is that if you're not very tech-friendly, then it can be very difficult to navigate and you will have to spend a lot of time learning the platform. Blogger is very easy to use. It's extremely user-friendly, but the limitations are that it's not very customizable, and you also have to be very careful about the content that you post because since it's owned by Google, if it finds anything questionable or controversial, it can remove your blog just like that. Now, ActiveRain only has one pro and con, and it's the same one. ActiveRain's pro is that it's used mostly by real estate agents. Now, that can be a pro because when you connect with other real estate agents, you get a whole lot of access to information that can be very useful for you. Now, it's also a con because since you're also interacting mostly with real estate agents, they're competition. So you're going to be competing with a lot of other real estate agents, and you need to make sure that your content stands out above the rest. Now we come to the point where you actually start writing. Okay, so the first step is to do your research. This is so important because you need to make sure that you present accurate information. Again, remember that you are writing using your client's voice. So you don't want to embarrass them by feeding their audience a lot of hoax or false information. So get your information from reputable sources, and I'm talking about the big names. So if you get real estate news, you can get it from CNN.com or AOL, Yahoo. They all have good real estate sites within their main site. So their information is definitely accurate because they're coming from reputable sources. Now, subscribe to local newspapers and follow their Twitter and Facebook accounts. So locally we have Inquirer.net. In the States they have the same thing. Every local newspaper is now online, so it's really easy to subscribe to them. Personally, the first thing that I do when I log on every day is to open up my client's version of their local newspaper, which is in Cleveland, and I read up on all the latest events and see if I can find anything interesting to write about. The next step is to put the information all together in a way that makes sense. Organize your thoughts. People always come up to me and say that it's so hard for them to blog. They don't know where to start and they don't know what to talk about, especially when there's a word limit like 300 or 500 words. They tell me that they tend to run out of words to say. But if you cover the 5 W's and 1 H, you're not going to run out of things to write about. What are they? The 5 W's are who, what, where, when, and why, and the 1 H is how. So when you think about it, if you just spend time talking about each one of these W's and H, you can write 3 sentences about who, 3 sentences about what, 3 sentences about where, and before you know it, you have a 500-word blog. Now make your introduction and your conclusion the strongest parts of your piece. Your introduction is so important because that's what's going to capture the audience's interest. Okay, so you need to make that really strong and attractive so that they will be enticed to continue reading your blog. Make your conclusion strong as well so that the message stays in their mind, and again, they will be enticed to click on your client's website. Another tip is to keep your sentences short and sweet to avoid confusing your readers. A common misconception that I noticed amongst Filipinos, maybe because English is not their strongest point, is that sometimes they try to overcompensate by using a lot of long words or a lot of complicated sentences, thinking that it's more impressive and makes them sound smarter. That is not the case. Readers actually prefer to read things that are direct and straight to the point so that it has a bigger impact. So again, Try and keep your sentences short and sweet, don't beat around the bush, and don't confuse your readers. Another thing is to increase your vocabulary to avoid using the same words over and over again. The worst thing that I've ever seen is when you see an ad that just uses the same word over and over, like lovely. Can you imagine reading, check out this lovely home set in a lovely neighborhood with a lovely park and a lovely pool for your lovely family. If you are interested, please contact our lovely agent through their lovely website. It doesn't sound good. Alright, so you need to increase your vocabulary so that you can expand and use different words to describe the same thing. I would advise reading a lot in your spare time, and watching American TV shows actually helps you do that as well. Next, we move on to blogging for SEO. So for SEO, I did mention that the best way to go about this is to use a lot of keywords and phrases. For those of you who have never done this, what does keywords and phrases mean? So basically, these are phrases that you insert into your blog that will help your blog rank higher on Google. For instance, if you were looking to buy a home in Texas, what you would search into Google would be homes for sale in Texas, or properties for sale in Texas, or Texas real estate. So these are the phrases that you want to insert into your blog. And in general, when blogging for SEO, the rule is to repeat the keywords no more than 3 times every 300 or 500 words. Now, how are you going to insert Texas homes for sale 3 times in a blog? It can be challenging, so you need to find creative ways to use them without boring your audience or making it obvious or making it seem spammy. A tool that I like to use to check my client's ranking on Google or check his website, how high it ranks, is www.sitemap.com/serp-rank.aspx. So just a few tips for when you blog. Let's start with the don'ts. Never ever plagiarize. Okay, never ever take somebody else's work and present it as your own. Not only is it just not a decent human being thing to do, but also you could get into a lot of trouble if you copy something that is copyright protected. Never copy whole sentences or articles word for word. It's okay to paraphrase, but just don't copy things as they are. And never steal someone else's work. Again, this is just part of being a decent human being, and you wouldn't want it done to yourself. Now I'm going to tell you the story of the 40,000 peso photo of beer. So about a year ago, I wrote a blog about a beer festival that was happening in my client's area. Of course, to make the blog a little more interesting, I used a photo of mugs of beer being toasted. And I forgot about it because this was way back in August 2012. About a month ago, my client received an email from Getty Images claiming that I stole their photo and downloaded it illegally from their website. And they're now demanding a $1,000 fine be paid to cover the copyright issue. So roughly converted, that's about 40,000 pesos, guys, and that's more than my son's tuition is in a year. What is my point? This is why you should take copyright laws seriously. Okay, never ever download photos that have watermarks on them, that have clear markings that indicate they are copyright protected. Do not even attempt to remove these watermarks or crop them out of the photos. Just stay away from these kinds of photos because they are protected. Okay, now personally I like to use free stock images for my photos for my website. So these are royalty-free images that are free to download off the internet, and you can use them. But just to be safe, and because we want to cover ourselves, I would suggest that you always add a photo credit under all the images that you use. It can just be a simple disclaimer stating where you got the photo from, and include a link to the original website where you got the photo from. Again, this is just keeping ourselves safe and covering so that we can avoid incidents such as the 40,000 peso photo of beer. Just to clarify, I was completely innocent in that beer incident, okay? I did not download it illegally from anybody's website. I got it from a free stock photo. It just turns out that there seems to be a Getty Images scam going around, so you may want to look out for that. Thankfully, the issue is being resolved. I'm just sharing this information with you so that you can avoid it from happening to you. Prior to this, I wasn't that well versed in copyright laws, but now I am. Okay, another thing that you can do is when you download photos, try and alter it just a little bit by maybe cropping a few pixels off the sides and tops, just so that you alter the photo and it will erase the original code that's in the image. So you can reuse it on your blog and it will be harder to track. Now we move on to the do's of blogging. I'm kind of really OC about this, so these are a few of my pet peeves. Always check your facts. Do you guys have that friend on Facebook who is always spreading stories about things like this and this child, this dying child will receive $1 million off Facebook? Or they're spreading stories about if you eat shrimps in the morning, by afternoon you will drop dead because of some chemicals in the shrimp. These are all false, okay? And it only takes 1 minute to Google and check your facts. Okay, now do not risk embarrassing your client by blogging things that are not true. So again, always check your facts. Number 2, always provide links. The most important link that you want to provide is leading back to your client's website, because again, we're all about lead generation. We're all about strengthening relationships. Okay, and you can't do that if you don't provide your client's website for your audience to link back to. And the third part is, for the love of God, always check your grammar, spelling, and punctuation. It's so easy just to run spell check, especially if you're using Microsoft Word or any other writing program these days has their own version of spell check. But more importantly, it's also good for you to read through what you have written, because sometimes spell check will only go through words that are misspelled. But sometimes they will miss words that are properly spelled but don't belong there. Case in point, take this lady's ad in the newspaper. This poor lady who has now become very famous for all the wrong reasons. Okay, her ad says, "We have a spacious 1,500 square foot home with a large lot, family room with fireplace, and a huge dick for entertaining." Now, if you look at it carefully, the word dick is not misspelled. It's properly spelled, but it should definitely not be in this ad. So once again, you need to make sure that you read through what you wrote and not only look for grammar and spelling errors, but also look for words that shouldn't be there. Now we move on to some tips for social media. So number 1 tip is to keep your content short, sweet, and light. I like to think of a Starbucks non-fat vanilla latte. Now, the next tip is that social media users have a short attention span, and you need to capture their attention immediately or you will lose them. So hold off on the long posts on Facebook and the extra long Twitter posts that need that need a continuation. Try to keep it as short as you can, and try to keep it as attractive and catchy as you can. Alright, so some of the most popular social media platforms are, of course, Facebook, which now has more than 1 billion active users, and I would say more than 90% of them are Filipinos. Just kidding. The good thing about Facebook is it has recently added a lot of new features to its business pages, so if you can take the time to learn them, they can really help you out in boosting your client's Facebook page. So some of these features include insights, promote, and replies. Make use of them. They're there for a reason, and they will really help you out. Now, the next social media platform is Twitter. Now, Twitter personally, I think, is like an information mecca. You can get so much information off Twitter if you are following the right people. Now, a good way to use Twitter to your advantage is to look for the #1 real estate agent in your client's area if it's not your client, and follow their Twitter. Why? Because when you follow their Twitter and they're the #1 real estate agent, then everything that they tweet, you get information off of them, and then you can then use that content and put it on your client's Twitter feed as well. So this is like riffing off somebody else's success. Of course, you're going to have to rephrase stuff, but then it will help you sound more knowledgeable and be in the know with the latest information. Now, the last social media platform, this is a new one, Pinterest. If you have heard of Pinterest, it started out maybe as like, I like to call it as the social media platform for desperate housewives, because it has a lot of recipes and DIY, arts and crafts, things like that. But some brilliant person decided to start using it for real estate. And when you think about it, it makes so much sense, because if you've seen the platform, it's perfect for displaying beautiful pictures. So you can use that to your advantage to showcase your clients' listings. If you've got good photos of your clients' listings, and you can post them on Pinterest. And it's a good way to reach out to all the people that are on Pinterest. It's also a good way to post things like how to decorate your home if you're a first-time home buyer, or how to stage your home for sale if you're trying to sell your home. So get to know Pinterest. If your client doesn't have a Pinterest account yet, it's a good way to earn brownie points with them if you suggest, boss, let's open a Pinterest account. Now I'll just be showing you some interesting statistics regarding when is the best time to post on social media. Now, the thing about this information is I would take it with a grain of salt. It is accurate, it has been verified, but I'll tell you why you may want to tweak it a little bit, okay? So based on this data that I'll be showing you, it says here, like for example, for Twitter, the best time to post on Twitter is at 5 p.m. Okay, now the best frequency for posting on Twitter is 1 to 4 tweets per hour. But let's be realistic, who has the time to post 4 times an hour on Twitter when you have so many other things to do, right? Now it also says that the best days to post on Twitter are midweek, so around Wednesday, Thursday, and weekends. Okay, and some of the most active users on Twitter are online between at noon or at 6 p.m. and that's usually when they're coming home from work. Alright? Okay, so on Facebook they say that the best time to post is on a Saturday, and the best time of day to post is at noon, and the best frequency is 0.5 posts per day. So that means 1 post for every other day. Okay, now while remember I said that these are good statistics to know, and this is good data and it's accurate, but I would tweak it a little bit just to use it to your advantage. Why? Because when you think about it, if this information is readily available and it's put out there, then don't you think that every other real estate agent who is blogging also knows the statistics and is going to be posting at those times? So if you've ever logged on Facebook and you've posted when everybody else is online as well, then you know what happens to your post when that happens, right? It gets moved down, and not a lot of people get to read it because the flow is so fast, the updating is so fast. So my tip would be is to take this information that I presented and then tweak it just a little bit, like maybe post an hour before the recommended time or an hour after. So that way you can ensure that your post is still going to be the top one and the first thing that people see when they log on at these specific hours. Okay, so that's it really. So I hope that these tips and tricks help you, whether you are a new VA who is just starting to blog, or if you are already a seasoned blogger, but I hope that you were able to get at least some new information that might help you better or improve your blogging for your client. Okay, so for any questions, or if you need, have any concerns, want to clarify anything, then please feel free to add me on Skype. My Skype ID is od.va_Pauline. That's Pauline, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. So thank you for listening, and have a good day.